Welcome to today's show. Join us as we unveil the astonishing secret of Truman. Under the director's guidance, the camera switches like a roller coaster, the piano's melody a storm, taking the reunion to new heights, topped off with spine-tingling close-ups. Everyone is choked up by this scene, even the crew members are tearing up, while Schweier in front of the TV looks like he just missed the last train. Because this reunion totally derailed Truman's quest for the truth, the show host immediately called up the director. The director also lives on the island, but in a moon house. The host lauded his creativity for reintroducing Truman's that genius. This not only eased Truman's doubts, but also satisfied the audience's emotions. Yet the director claimed it was all out of necessity to leave Truman with shadows that would scare him away from leaving. However, the actor wasn't satisfied with the plot, always seeking ways to return to the set to reunite with Truman. He tried various tricks, was blocked by the crew, and disguised as a homeless man to see Truman. This caused a butterfly effect, forcing him to bring Truman's dad back into the script. After the interview, the audience connected with the show, and the first caller was Schweier. He slammed the director for manipulating Truman's life and asked, "Don't you feel guilty about this?" But the director simply brushed it off, remaining completely unfazed by Schweier's righteous and angry retort. The director stated that Truman could leave anytime if he truly had the courage to seek the truth, then revealed that next week Truman would divorce his wife and head jump into a new romance, with all the intimate details becoming public for the first time. Ever since the father-son reunion, Truman's life got back to normal and he's full of enthusiasm. He seemed to have ditched the past, and the island was returning to its former joy. Sunlight poured down, and the air was fragrant. Smiles were as bright as the sun, and the director's arranged second spring seemed to be going as planned. However, one day Truman's sleeping in the basement raised suspicion. Despite the loud snoring, the director was still uneasy. So, the director asked his assistant to call Truman to test him. The phone rang repeatedly with no answer. The director checked the footage and spotted Truman's snoring hand under the table. Upon learning the situation, Marlon rushed to Truman's house, only to find Truman had already prepared a snowman and a pre-recorded snoring track. Under the director's command, he opened the storage cabinet, revealing a ladder and a hole. That hole was the path to freedom, and for the first time in 30 years, the show finally went off the air. The crew backstage received many viewer congratulations, and the director immediately turned on the floodlights. All the actors joined forces for a carpet search, turning the scene into a ghostly parade. To improve the search, the director decided to make the sun rise at midnight, while rumors of Truman's death spread externally, and sponsors threatened to pull funding if the show didn't return. Everything pressed the director to find Truman. After a frantic search, he realized he missed a nearly impossible place to see Truman feed all his life. Yet, as the boys' camera rose, a lone sail appeared, resuming the show. Truman was seen sailing towards the Freedom shore, with his fears drifting away like confetti. What encouraged him was a little Schweier pieced together from poster scraps. Looks like he never forgot or gave up. The crew told poor actors to chase him, but they lacked sailing skills. The only way was to make Truman return. The director decided to activate the weather program, concentrating the storm over Truman's sailboat. In an instant, the sea was raging, and Truman had to cling to the sail. Suddenly, lightning split the mast. Truman fell in. Investors ordered halt. The world was watching. After falling in, Truman swam back to the boat with willpower. The director felt a twinge of sympathy. Because Truman was not just his cash cow, but also the child of his heart. From the moment he adopted Truman, he formed a bond with the little guy. He often softly caressed Truman's face at night, so the director let him go to gain freedom. But the subsequent words from Truman completely enraged him, driving the already furious director into an even greater rage. He swiftly set the storm program to max. Waves repeatedly challenged Truman's resolve for freedom, despite his bravery. In the end, he couldn't withstand nature's power, capsizing and being swallowed by the waves, with Truman sinking into the depths and losing consciousness. It was only at this moment that the director was willing to relent. No matter how the storm rages, the sun will rise again. Soon it subsides, and the boat rights itself. After the rain, the air was fresh, as if newly discharged. Sunlight filled his journey, lighting up his future. In front of everyone, the exhausted Truman found his last ounce of strength raising the sail and sailing towards the distant shores he had longed for. The director no longer hindered him, until the sails of freedom reached the edge of the sky, breaking through the chains, and Truman finally discovered the truth of this false world. He pounded on the walls, but 30 years of deception couldn't be easily vented. He lingered at the joy and regret intertwined. He buried his sorrow in solitude until he stepped into the script's closing chapter, which was also the doorway to a new world. The director looked helplessly at all of this, trying to use his last ounce of sincerity to keep Truman. Much like a creator overwhelmed by, he laid everything bare to Truman. This is a show that gives hope and joy to billions, with all actors being faux, while you are the real star of the world. Truman turned around without a second thought, but the director warned him that the outside world was as fake as the island, full of deceit and lies. Subtitles, however, the malevolence on Peach Garden Island stands in stark contrast to that of the outside world. You are free to live joyfully without any worries, and that's precisely the reason why I hope you'll remain here. Truman indeed found himself lost in deep hesitation. The audience waited anxiously for the ending, while the director eagerly anticipated Truman's final decision. He chose freedom over comfort, honoring his original dream from a decade ago.